We pride ourselves that we can get to grips with our chosen craft and be ahead of our honeybees. Sometimes, however, we can miss the finer points. This is Gen Buzz. The swarm, spectacular, intimidating, inconvenience, and are some of the words to describe this phenomenon. So we have to ask a few questions. Why do bees swarm? To be able to put this into perspective, we have to consider honeybee reproduction cycle. Swarming is a fundamental instinctual urge. Throughout the year, the queen lays around 1,500 to 2,000 eggs daily, a remarkable feat for sure. This of course enables the colony to become strong and able to ward off being predated, robbed out, and in some cases better resistance to diseases. This is regarded as individual bee reproduction. A key feature is the mortality of an individual bee, and it's limited to only a handful of weeks. During spring and summer months, the colony gains in strength and grows rapidly, highlighting the need to have constant space. As we all know, the need for space is important to prevent early swarming. A swarm in essence is a duplication of another colony and is strongly driven by the instinctual need to survive and reproduce. Swarming is a spectacular event and in some cases can be intimidating to the uninitiated. And if in a confined setup, i.e. within the confines of your garden or in the locale of nervous neighbours, this can be really distressing. So to be able to pin this down, we need to understand the signs and cues that trigger a swarm. It's broken down into some basic fundamentals. Spring and early summer will be prime timelines that swarms occur. It's a collective wisdom that the time to get out of Dodge primarily is for space and reproduction. In preparation, the colony decides that a new queen is needed to remain in the hive. The sign is queen cups that normally appear at the base of frames and is constructed by the worker bees. A clear sign that the colony is going to swarm is when the cups are charged, in other words have larvae and a good portion of royal jelly. The resident queen is in a full egg-laying state and rather heavy to take flight. At this stage, the workforce decide that she is in need of shedding some of her bulk, so a regime of depriving her of sustenance is in order. The workers deliberately bump, shake and set her running around the frames to get her down to her fighting weight. Makes sense. As concurrent activity, the colony gorges itself with honey, the essential fuel for the next level. The final trigger to swarm is when the new queen cell or cells are capped, and then the spectacle begins. The bees, having fueled up, leave the hive in a mass onslaught. This can be mistaken at times for orientation flights, but it is different, as the bees all going in the same direction and taken to the air, where they will wait for the old queen to exit the hive and join them. But the colony does not move straight to a new nest site. A bivouac is selected and constructed as a staging point, normally very close to the old hive position. The process of sending out scout bees to find a suitable dwelling begins, but that's another story to cover in a future Gen Buzz episode. So, as beekeepers, we have some tools in the toolbox to limit this activity as not to lose our bees prematurely. Here are a few ideas, but I must point out that this is also a subjective matter and can be used in many different ways. So what can we do? Well, firstly, as we are carrying out our inspections, the need to be observant is key, so some questions need to be asked. Is there enough space for the queen to lay? Should we add supers earlier than predicted with a flow being imminent? Have we given enough ventilation to the colony in times of elevated temperatures? Is there enough water available to enable the colony to thermoregulate efficiently? Is the position of the hive suitable, i.e. in full sunlight, or is it in shaded areas? So some well catalogued ideas include the following. We can put out swarm traps close to the vicinity of an apiary, make an artificial swarm or split as it's known in beekeeping, and we can also look at our bee species. Some bee species are prone to swarming. Carniolans and Africanized bees are an example, and they are very prone to doing this. On the other end of the spectrum, buckfast bees are regarded as a low risk, so perhaps the need to requeen is appropriate. As you can imagine, the subject of artificially splitting hives to ease the swarming impulse is vast, and different techniques exist to help with this. There is no shortage of information available. So in summary, the swarming impulse is extremely strong and of course instinctual, and is part of the honeybee's genetic makeup. To some this is intimidating, to the uninitiated downright scary. As beekeepers we have some strategies to lessen the impulse to swarm, or we don't want to lose our colony because we have been a little careless in spotting the clear signs. But on the other hand, some folk let their bees do what is natural, and this is not a bad thing. If little intervention is what a beekeeper wishes, again, as I've said before, it's very subjective and not a thing that warrants criticism.